This car was released 2 years ago and it's still one of the fastest cars in its class. This is the Kia EV6, and having been around for about 2 years, it still has a lot to offer that many other newer EVs in its price range do not. This is the GT line variant, which means it is the fastest EV6 you can get in Singapore as of now. There is a facelifted version coming soon, with mostly cosmetic updates, some new features, and a larger battery. It may also come with a slightly heavier price tag, which means the variants that we currently have would probably still be relevant and worth considering. So allow me to share with you the things about the Kia EV6 GT line that stood out to me the most, both good and not so good. The overall design looks serious and sporty, and together with this metallic grey they call Moonscape, I think it just looks striking and futuristic. The headlights, together with the DRLs and the tiger snub nose, gives it an overall fierce and cool look at the same time. It feels intimidating, but not in a bad way. I think it's bound to make people look at least twice. Another thing that I really like is how this line joins with the taillight, which I think is pretty cool. One cool thing about this automatic tailgate is that when you bring the key close to it, it will beep 5 times, and on the 6th beep, it will open just like you see here. This is a really cool feature that I think is arguably better than the ones that are activated by foot, because that method sometimes it just doesn't work. And you could say that 5 to 6 beeps may be a bit too long, but at the same time, you also wouldn't want the tailgate to open as you're walking towards it if you have no intention of opening it in the first place. Perhaps they could have given you the option to adjust how many beeps or seconds it takes for it to open when you're close to it. The boot space is also pretty large, no complaints about it. The boot floor is also relatively flat, so you can roll your luggages in and out with ease. Call me inexperienced, but this is the first time I've ever sat in a car where the seats are mostly made out of suede. It feels really comfortable and nice, although it may start to get a little warm over time. But fear not, because you get aircon vents on each side, each with its own individual control to adjust the amount of air coming out of the vents. Now back to the seats. I really appreciate the fact that the inclination of the seats can be adjusted by a lever at the side, which can let you do this and this. And this is strangely a feature that is absent in many cars today. You get 2 USB-C charging ports, one here and one here. And overall, the rear cabin is pretty spacious, no complaints here. The front cabin has a pretty tech/futuristic feel to it, almost like a Blade Runner cyberpunk cockpit. It kind of feels like it's designed by a company that also designs gaming graphics cards for PCs. If this whole interior is too monochrome for you, there is this light strip right here, which can be the soft spot for your eyes. You can customize the colors of the light strip with some options given to you, or you can customize it even further using this RGB looking wheel. In regards to the climate control, you do get physical knobs to control the temperature of the aircon, and everything else is in the form of touchscreen buttons. I really appreciate the fact that all the controls are laid out here nice and clean, which means you don't really have to navigate your touchscreen to access your aircon functions. They're all here, including your cooling seat control. The touchscreen is pretty minimalistic, but it's functional, so I don't really have any complaints. You can access all the settings you need in this clean and simple user interface. One cool thing that I really like is the fact that the center storage is really deep. Look at what I have inside. A bottle, 2 bottles. I can actually put more bottles, but I just want to show you that it's very deep. I can maybe put 3 to 4 bottles of oolong cha inside, which is a really neat thing because with this, I don't have to squeeze my bottles in the cup holders or the sides. I can just store all of them here and I have 1 to 2 days worth of water. Now there isn't a center tunnel right here, which means the thing that you put the cash card in with the whole OBU 2.0 system can be placed right here, as opposed to at the side. Sure, you still have to kind of reach in, but it's not as far as reaching to the side. So I think this is definitely a plus. Now I've been told that all the material here is recycled, which is a nice thing to know that what you're driving is designed and created with the environment in mind. Overall, I think that the interior is really nice and classy, even with some of the more futuristically designed elements. You get a sunroof. It's not panoramic, but it's a sunroof nonetheless. I only have one real complaint though. It's the lack of wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. There are 3 drive modes which you can cycle through with this convenient button right here. You get the typical trio: Eco, Normal and Sport. There is a pretty major difference between the 3 drive modes. Eco feels laid back, Normal feels fast, and Sport mode feels super fast. So which drive mode you choose would depend on how you feel. Do you want to have a chill ride, or do you want to coast at a speed, or do you want to just simply overtake all the cars? Because with the amount of speed you get with this car, you can, provided there's actually space for you to navigate through. Well, I feel that the amount of power in this car is perhaps a little too much for a single person to have, especially on the roads of Singapore. I think as long as you know what you are doing and drive sensibly, with this car, you can be a master of the roads. You get the standard suite of safety features, including 360 cam and blind spot cameras. And they are all almost fully customizable. You can adjust the extent of how you want the safety features to work, but you cannot adjust how sensitive they should be. So in this case, I would say it's a you win some, you lose some case. Now, speaking of the 360 cam and blind spot cameras, I really like that there is a button right here that lets you toggle the camera views as and when you like. And this is super helpful if you ever need to just take a look at, say, the curb or your surrounding vehicles. This button would let you do just that. And I think this button should be in every car that has 360 cam and blind spot cameras. Because honestly, why not? If I'm allowed to nitpick, I would say that the rear window is a little too narrow, in the sense that it's too short. And coupled with the fact that the view is kind of blocked by the headrests behind, it makes the view even narrower, which at this point I wouldn't say it's a safety hazard, but I just wish that we could see more. There are pedals on the steering wheel which lets you adjust the level of regenerative braking. It goes from level 0, 1, 2, 3 and max, which puts you in single pedal mode, which they call iPedal. I do like the single pedal response because when it brakes, it doesn't actually brake very hard, so it's actually a pretty comfortable drive. Overall, I do think that there is a lot of power packed into this GT line variant, which is way more than enough for our roads. But it does let you dial back comfortably with its well-tuned eco and normal drive modes. So in other words, you do get the best of a few worlds with the Kia EV6 GT line. I'd say that Kia has been really consistent with its new design treatment, and the EV6 still looks great today, with no signs of aging. It's a really solid car with looks that lets others know that you mean business, and the amount of power it packs really puts it in serious competition with other pricier vehicles within similar categories. Personally, I was sold just on the looks alone, but having driven the EV6 for a few days, it's clear to me that Kia has really gone all out to make a car that, while not exactly a choice you can't refuse, but a choice you definitely shouldn't ignore. And that's it for my impressions of the Kia EV6. If there's anything you feel I should have talked about, or if there's anything you would like to see more of, please let me know in the comments below. Lastly, do leave a like on this video and subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you again on the next one.